So welcome to our webinar series. We are thrilled to have Dr. Marcia Haggerty and Paul Mend here to really give you some very actionable tools that you will go away with. If you hit that, yeah, hit slideshow. And then you can go full screen. You will go home with some very powerful tools today. What if having wealth, having money doesn't have anything to do with money is a question that I will just all plant in your heads right now. And Dr. Marcia Haggerty has been with Growth U. She's one of our master trainers, one of our advisors, and also an amazing physician, catches babies in Alaska, practices functional medicine, and is just one of the most beautiful healthcare practitioners you will meet, and really is a heart-centered physician. And we are so thrilled to have her here to talk about shifting mindset. Paul Mend, my partner in crime, who's actually just right beside me. I'll just reach right into his screen. And he was a psychology teacher for many, many years at the high school level, has coached all levels of volleyball for over 40 years, and has helped thousands of students and athletes reach their potential through psychology and mindset. So today they are going to share their secrets with you about shifting something that all of us, I think, at this time in history have felt recently or in the recent past. So Marcia, would you like to start us off with your story? We'll go back. I had this
Love to.
back one.
Thank you, Denise. And I love being here. Thank you. I have been hearing from many friends recently, in the past few months especially, that it's tough right now with bills. And I just happened to read an article right before I got on to this call, where someone was saying the United States average income, or rather average payment out to the regular household bills, is about $700 more this month than it was typically 2 years ago. Now, it feels a little bit more than that to me, but that's what they're saying. And that's what they're saying. And so this feels like a moment where a call like this can be very key and important. And I also wanted to share, a lot of us just feel like we should just be going, because some of us feel like there's just more and more bills to pay. So I want to honor you right now for watching this recording or for being here live, and simply being and pausing and doing something for yourself. If you can even just take a breath and pause and be here with us. That's one of the tools in the moment when I start to spin up, that I just remind myself. I like to go outside, which is why I'm sitting outside right now. Just remind myself, or remind yourself, that it's okay just to be, and you can do it for more than a moment. And I feel like some people might think, well, what's a doctor going to tell me about changing my mindset? What do they know? You know, they have a good salary, they have a good job. Why they don't know what I'm going through. And I don't know what you're going through. And we all have different experiences with money and with wealth. I will say I'm good at always feeling wealthy, even when there are financial crunches. And when I do focus, like I'm about to talk to you about right now, I'm typically focusing in again on how to believe what can be financially, and not just in the wealth of nature, wealth of family, wealth of friends space. That's the space where I thrive. I'm just going to share a little story with you about one of the moments when I tapped into that anxiety that is one of the areas where I get to grow the most when things come up. So 2020, we all experienced the beginning of 2020. Crazy things happened when COVID came through, and I love my job. And about 30% of it was taken away when COVID came through. The part that I would do at home in Washington, I could still do the part in Alaska in person with people, but 30% of my income went away. And then there was a 2-week quarantine in the town that I worked in Alaska, to prevent COVID from coming in. So now my once a month travel to do 9 days, to enjoy 9 days in Alaska, working with my family, friends, patients in Bethel, Alaska, all of a sudden went from 9 days to 9 days plus 2 weeks. So my husband agreed to quit his nursing job in Washington so we could stay together. So we lost a third of one income, all of the other income. And on top of that, there was the anxiety of, how do we treat this? How do we stay safe? We're updating our will for our daughter. At the time, I guess she would have been 5. She would have been 5. And for me, there are a lot of money mindset, money beliefs, things I tapped into because I really felt the jitter, what I call the jitter or the glitch, when you can just feel like that anxiety is on your mind, on your chest all the time. And I feel like I'm sensing that with more people that I know recently. And so we want to talk to you about that. And I'll step back and let you, Paul Mend, share some story or share what you're going to start with before I jump into what I really love to use for updating my beliefs and settling that calm and being in focus again.
Awesome, Marcia. Thank you. I guess, I think what a lot of people are experiencing right now is what we call overwhelm, right? There's just so much stuff going on. And I'm a gardener, and I'm an organic gardener, and I love harvesting plants and eating from the garden and the whole health benefits. What I don't like, what I dislike, I guess, is weeding. And a few years back, we took a trip, like right during kind of the major growth of the garden, and we took a trip to China to support our son who was competing internationally in a sports event. And when we came back, the garden, you couldn't see the garden through the weeds, right? And I called that the overwhelm. It was just like I was overwhelmed with what is happening right now. Like I can't see my tomato plants, I can't see my pepper plants, where's the lettuce? Like everything was just hidden. And so from that time forward, I started putting down tarps around the areas where I wasn't planting my plants. And then this year, I transitioned to cardboard because it's way better for the ground. It just composts into the ground and you just put more cardboard on top. And so I kind of liken that to our life. And I always, in psychology class, spoke about the 4 sort of pillars of mental health. And if I were to pick a piece of cardboard that had like 4 sections on it, one would be sleep, one would be exercise, one would be nutrition, and one would be self-love. And if we put those 4 pillars into practice in our life, as I put the cardboard down to stop the weeds from growing, does it stop all the weeds from growing in my garden? Absolutely not. Am I still having to weed? Yes, but not like the overwhelm that I had coming back from China. It's doable. It's manageable. And I think, when we take care of ourselves from those 4 perspectives, the overwhelm of the bills or the overwhelm of just how many jobs possibly we're working, or kids in school, and just the radio frequencies that's going on in our head with having to be here and there and putting the taxi sign up and driving to soccer practice or dance practice or whatever's going on in our lives, it allows us to at least be in a non-overwhelmed state, because we're looking after our physiological needs and we're looking after our health, so that we are in better position, whether we want to call it ultimate performer state, so that we can now tackle those things that come at us sideways on a Tuesday afternoon. So that's what I got: sleep, exercise, nutrition, and self-love. Make sure you're doing the self practice first, because then the other stuff that's coming at us, at least we are in a state of calm to process that, versus not having those things and then really just having the weeds 10 feet tall and not being able to see anything in our garden.
And I just have to interject for a moment before Marcia shares her next story about one of my favorite models at Growth U that we use. I have this picture up. This is a labyrinth that is at a property close to where we live here in Naramata, BC, Canada. And many people use this to contemplate, to meditate, to focus on what they're grateful for. And I know that Marcia touched on this at the beginning. Paul just touched on the 4 pillars of mental wellness. And so this is why, this picture for me really reminds me to be grateful for where I live every single day. And that no matter what's going on when I start there, that's an important place for me to just feel grounded in the space and place that I live. So if we go to the next slide, Paul, for Marcia. There you go. Marcia.
I love that. That is also one of my cerebral tools. No, that's not a cerebral tool that you were showing us. And where there is gratitude, there is no fear, is the growth you saying that I will use over and over whenever I start to feel that jitter, right? Or that glitchiness that I get. There's always something I can be thankful for, find gratitude for. And I test it. I used to test it all the time and it really works. So now I use it as a tool when I can find something to be grateful for, like an incredible leaf falling that just looks so peaceful, or like the rocks that we put in a spiral on the side of our house that Kimi and I walk. I'm very grateful for the energy that are in those stones just from us spending time. And it's a beautiful practice. In fact, in Bethel, when we moved there together for 2.5 months, quarantine in the middle of the tundra where we have wide open space that you can go outside is a pretty cool place to be stuck at home. And interestingly, that year, the road started breaking up the sand track that we call a road, which is turning into a whitewater. So that was the other piece I started remembering to be grateful for. We didn't have to drive anywhere anyways. It was a good time for the road to break and it was beautiful. And this belief model touches so many things, including that. This is what, like you said, it's one of my favorite models in Growth U. So this is about how you can tap into your capability. This is about how the beliefs that you hold and the power that you have to update your beliefs from your past and going into your future can completely change your experience of a situation, even in the past. And it can change your trajectory as to opening up the capability. So I'm just going to start by sharing, as you can see with the arrows, we start in belief, move to capability, then strategy and results. Now I'm just going through that once quick because I'm going to really tap into each piece. What we stress here is that a lot of us jump into strategy like, oh my gosh, I can't pay the bills. Oh my gosh, I have so much on credit cards. What am I going to do? What's going on next? And you get stuck in that strategy and you get stuck in that glitch. And I personally will get stuck in that jitter. And really, we must start with belief because we all have infinite capability to do whatever we set our heart and our mind to. And the way to open that window, and this is based on a lot of research as well and years of using it, our belief opens up the capability to what we can do, feel, how we respond to a situation. So in this space, my favorite quadrant is belief because this is where a lot of the power is. So if you think about the results that you want, this belief corner that we start in is what do I need to believe to be in that space? If my result is ease and flow, who must I become and what habits do I get to create that will lead to that ease and flow? If my results are to buy a house on a lake, what must I be doing consistently each day, or who must I become to get this to be my reality, for it to be my reality in my head, in my belief zone, so that it unfolds? So the way to update our beliefs, there's 3 ways to update our beliefs. Community, who we surround ourselves by, is just a pattern of where we are in our life each day. Habitual conditioning, which you do whenever you're creating a new habit. You've done this many times in your life, whether you've created a habit to walk each day or eat a certain nutritious food each day or get 8 hours of sleep each day or practice self-love. Actually, the 4 pillars sounds like a good place to begin. Self-love, the sleep, the nutrition, the walking. And habitual conditioning is also what we do in our Growth U program. So the weeds that keep growing up almost become fun sometimes when we have tools to weed through the garden or to weed through what's going on in our lives with models like this. And the 3rd way to update your beliefs is a significant emotional event. if you can intentionally fall into a really incredible emotional event, like a board breaking or a retreat or having a baby, whatever is a significant emotional event for you, it can update you in a positive way. And we all have complicated, significant emotional events in our previous pieces of our life. So here's where the power is. This is what I really want to share today. We can update our beliefs about the past events. We've had what Rick would call positive reference points, what I call bliss anchors. And we just found that we had similar, different terms for a similar situation the other day. Or we can have really rocky, yucky, painful anchors, right? So I like to think and use this all the time, like I did that time when we were all moving to Bethel with COVID and with the different income and all that, to go back to the positive spaces where I've created beautiful beliefs and feel what that felt like, go back into that memory, try to find the juice from it, and then grab it. And that's like a stone I can hold in my hand, or if you have a lucky charm or whatever you like to use as an anchor to bring you back somewhere, I use that because I can role model myself with how I created that belief or how that existed. And then the painful, complicated beliefs, this is where the power gets even deeper, I think. If we find a significant emotional event that we think has made it so that we think we can't make more money than this, we can't be more at peace with life, some event that happened, some trauma, loss, betrayal, abandonment, whatever it is that's holding you back, that created a belief that you can't do something, you can go back into that space in your mind or your heart or your gut or wherever you feel it and truly give love to yourself or the other person or people or the situation with actually another model that we have: acceptance, understanding, and appreciation. So just to accept that something happened. And I like to think of understanding as just knowing everyone's doing the best they can with what they have in the moment. And appreciation specifically that now you found this node that you can put love into and update your beliefs if you create meaning for that belief. So I don't know if that settles in with you the first time over. And it's a deep power that we get to use. Once you update your beliefs, you can open up your capability. That fear that's pushing down, you can kind of lift it back up again with your gratitude. Then you can get into a strategy space, and the results happen as you're changing your habits with updated beliefs. There are these blind spots, and that's what we're digging into. The blind spots, I feel like, are those previous experiences. And once we identify them, we can really dig in with updating beliefs. So that's the main thing I wanted to share. And I'm open to talking about talking about anything else, and I'd like to open it back up to either of you.
Love that.
Oh. There we go. Now you should be able to hear Paul.
I love that. And, really, whether you call it a bliss anchor or whatever you're utilizing in your mind, because again, you can create the stories in your mind, right? You can create a new ending for something that happened in the past, because that doesn't necessarily, it's not who you are. It's just something that happened, and we get to change that, to your point, right? We get to change what that was. So I love that. And I'm just going to push ahead to the next, maybe. Let's see if I can get there. There we go. So, this is kind of one of our probably key models, and I love to talk about this because this is a psychology-based model. They're all psychology-based, but this one is our reticular activating system, right? And so we call it the RAS for short. It's the acronym RAS. And it's an area in our brain that filters incoming and outgoing signals. And it's what we focus on, we find. What we focus on grows, what we focus on seems real, and what we focus on, we ultimately become. And remember to focus on what you want, because if you focus on what you don't want, you're going to get either, right? You'll get what you're focused on. So focus on what you want. And a quick story that I'll share before we wrap up here. The gentleman that explained this to our psychology teachers association here in the Okanagan, shared a story about he and his son sitting down at the breakfast table, and he had to get a new vehicle, and he wanted to involve his 8-year-old son in purchasing this vehicle. And so he said, son, I do a lot of traveling. I carry a lot of stuff with me. What kind of vehicle do you think I should get? And the son thought about it for a minute. He said, well, I think you should get a truck, Dad. Yeah, a truck, because, that's a good way to carry all of your equipment. And Gary, the instructor, said, that's a great idea, son. He says, what color truck should I get? He said, well, why don't you get a white truck, Dad? Yeah, a white truck. So they finished breakfast. Gary then, and his son got into their vehicle to drive the son to school. And on the way to school, the same way that they drove every single day, they saw 13 white trucks on the way to school that day. Why did they see those white trucks? Well, because they had just spoken about it, and their reticular activating system was filtered to see white trucks. They were there every day they drove by, but they never noticed them. So utilize this thing up here to get what you want, and really focus on what it is that you do want. Put little notes on the mirror in the bathroom. Allow your brain to remind yourself what it is that you're focused on, and your brain will help you get to whatever that vision is that you're looking for. So,
and Marcia, I know you've used this model every day also. How did this model help you at that time when there was a lot of uncertainty around the income coming in and your money mindset? How did this really help you?
Well, like you said, wealth can be a lot of things. So I focused on that I was getting to run around in the tundra with my daughter when we were in quarantine. I focused on knowing somehow it was comforting that everybody was experiencing similar things in that time. I focused on knowing that everything is uncertain and we can adapt to anything. And my fallback is always focusing on nature. I like to think that anywhere I go, there's always going to be some nature to sink into and focus on. Oh, and I like to focus on what messages we've left for ourselves. What is this teaching me? How is this happening for me? Those are the two mantras that tend to go through my head. What is this teaching me? How is this happening for me? And what messages am I supposed to find that were left here? For sure.
Mm. And so as we think about these two models in the context of shifting how we feel about wealth, in shifting how we feel, and hey, all of you watching, you may be thinking, I like my money mindset. I like how I think about money. I'm feeling really good about it. Or you may feel like, oh, somebody in my life might really help, be helped by, empowered by shifting how they feel about wealth or money. Or you may be feeling, wow, I just need all the help I can get to shift how I feel about wealth, what wealth means to me, my money story. And this is, I think because we've been focusing on it, I'm seeing it everywhere. And if you choose to focus on this more and want to explore this more, Marcia, can you tell people how they can do this? And we have a limited amount of spots for a program that will be advisor-led starting September 18th.
By yours truly, Dr. Marcia.
Yes.
Do it with me. And maybe all of us. I don't know if all three of us are there. I know that I'll be there starting September 18th.
I'll be there.
We will both. All three of us.
Awesome. For 45 days, we are focusing on really vision, identity, and purpose. What our money vision is, opening it up to the next level, next space, whether that's providing for your family, whether that's thriving into some new travel and new living excitement, whether that's empowering others around you and lifting others up in all the ways that you wanted to create different nonprofits, or whether that's finally doing what it was that you wanted to do for yourself, whatever it is. And it's a daily program we'll focus on online, plus we'll do weekly Zoom calls together, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And so we'll gather and we'll talk about what's coming up for us. We'll have a community chat so we can stay in touch. We'll go through different models in the system, different videos from other master trainers in Growth U. And really it's a daily habitual conditioning, one of those one of those pieces. You get community, daily habit training while you're focusing on what you're updating to and focusing on your purpose. It'll be beautiful. And I look forward to doing it with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And anything else,
No.
Paul, that you want to share? So,
That's it.
so I put the link in the comments. It's a landing page that you can register today. If you feel like, wow, this is really for me, I need to do this. If you're watching this on replay, the link will be attached in the comments wherever you're watching it, whether it's on YouTube or the Growth U Facebook, or if you access it through the Growth U Instagram, the link will be available to register. And if you sign up before Friday of this week, you can use the code possibility for $50 off,
All capitals.
all caps. Well, Marcia, Paul, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I know that if this is all that you watch, you're going to go away with something that will help you shift to something that will empower you to feel how you want to feel about the wealth in your life and the money in your life. And if you want to explore more, please join us in a couple of weeks, actually.
September 18th.
September 18th. It's 2 weeks away. So thank you so much for those of you who joined us live. And thank you to those of you who have watched on replay. Love you all so much and have an amazing, amazing rest of the week. And happy back to school for everyone. Bye.
Bye.